I've always loved doing art since I was about 5, and I discovered that you could draw and paint. And I painted right through my childhood when I got paints, and it was a really lovely thing to do, an intuitive process, made me feel good. You know, all childhoods can be difficult, you know, and I guess painting was a wonderful thing. It kept me sort of happy. And then I went to school. I became an art teacher, but when I went to art school I found that I couldn't paint intuitively anymore because of the intellectual way that they presented things. For instance, they'd ask you to draw a sculpture out before you did it, which I couldn't do it. Yes, so anyway, I became an art teacher. I had 4 children and used to do art in many different ways, not painting. I didn't paint for about 30 years. And it was only one night when the children were in bed, I used to take that time in the early hours of the morning to just be with myself. And I got out some watercolours that I'd bought, unfortunately very poor quality ones, and I started to play with them, and I discovered I had 2 pictures of angels. Unbelievable. I was so surprised. I didn't set out to paint them. They just came. It just was amazing, full of energy. And at that time I had begun my spiritual journey. I'd had the 4 children weren't easy, and I'd had to look for other ways of understanding life. And I tried yoga. I did Reiki, began making flower essences, and I discovered that I was an energy healer. I worked with energy in all different forms. And this painting was just another form of energetic healing to me. And so I had them reproduced, and they were in the computer, and then I began to play with them with an old program, putting in colours, and that's how the angel paintings began. I had no knowledge of how to do it. Everything I just do intuitively. I found since I did Reiki, which I find it connects you to your spirit, connects you to source, that the teaching just came through and I was able to do these things. The paintings seem to have a really special quality. After I'd had the first ones reproduced, I went to a friend's place, and she had a troubled teenage daughter who wasn't sleeping. And she saw the paintings. I was showing them to my friend, and she wanted to buy one. I wanted to give it to her, but she insisted on paying with her pocket money. And her sleep problems disappeared. And I had a feeling that they were special. They had this energetic healing feel to them, and this just, sort of proved it to me. Then I was taken on another journey, which was a book. I didn't know it was a book. Now, most of the things I do, I get pushed into either by angels or by family, as most of you would probably have the same experiences. And my daughter wanted me to make angel cards. I didn't want to. I don't like typing. I wasn't good on the computer. But one day she got to me and I sat down and I did a series of words just to go on the back, one word on the back of each little card which had an angel picture. And I produced them and printed them out, and they were great. And after that, they wouldn't print. I couldn't print them at all. And so I thought to myself, there's something wrong, there's something more, and I didn't really want any more at that time. And I guess you all have the same sort of things. You don't always want to do what is part of your journey. You don't want to just proceed. You want to stay as you are. But anyway, I finally decided, well, if it was to be phrases, I'd have a go. So I sat at the computer and I looked at the words that I'd done. And as I looked at each word, a phrase came to me, just like an angelic voice in my head. And I started to type them up very slowly and haltingly. And the phrases just tumbled out, and they got longer and longer. And in the end, I couldn't keep up, and I was getting tears which were interfering. And so I stopped and I said, these won't fit on the cards. And a little angelic voice said to me, it's a book. And I had no idea that it was a book. I mean, no idea at all. In fact, that's been the whole story of my life, is when I look back, I see that everything before took me to the next step in the journey. I still print the book out myself. I never actually got it published because I update it all the time with new paintings. And from then on, the paintings just well, they became bigger and more special, and they became my major way of healing with energy. I'd done something called kirtan, which is a singing, it's a yogic singing meditation, which is a beautiful healing thing. It takes you back to when you're like a child and you can just sing from the heart, and a lot of the emotional stuff leaves. And I'd done that, and that was a wonderful energy healing. I'd also done Reiki, and I'd worked with flower remedies, and that's about getting the energy from the flowers, just capturing it in water like the bark flowers. And that was a wonderful way of healing too, but now it's mainly through my art. And the strange thing is that it's digital, and I didn't know anything about digital, but I was shown. And the angels really wanted me to get them out all over the world into cyberspace. So I've got energy in cyberspace now, and put them on the web. I had one incredible experience one night. I was just painting away, and this incredible energetic painting, I looked at it and I asked who this angel was, and this voice says to me, "I am Archangel Uriel, I am the light of God." I'd never heard of Archangel Uriel. I don't study these things. What I do is what comes to me through connection to spirit. He gave me a message which I wrote down, and then later I looked up on the internet and discovered there was indeed an Archangel Uriel, and he was called the Light of God, but he was also called the Fire of God, and this was a very fiery painting. All of these things, they show you that it is real. It's very easy when you're doing this sort of thing, connecting and doing your own thing, to doubt yourself and what you do, but you get these little things happen to you that show you it is indeed real. And so that's how the paintings, knew that the paintings were healing. The next thing that happened was I used to print them out, and I used all of my tools to stay well. I had something called Crohn's disease, which is a nasty disease, and I used to control it with Reiki and flower essences and doing what I love to do. I eventually got quite ill. I had a big emotional upset, and it came out and I had to have an operation. Now that was the beginning of the next stage of the journey. Not a very pleasant stage, but an incredible stage. So what happened is I had to have an operation. It went wrong. So I spent almost a year in hospital with holes in my bowel, had about 5 more operations with a surgeon who unfortunately wasn't a very good sewer. I urge you all, if you get a surgeon, make sure he can sew. I look back at it now, and I look back and I understand that it was a huge teaching tool for me. All the pain and the suffering taught me so much. I sort of nearly died several times and was welcoming death, which means now that I can help people who are dying, because I understand it and don't fear it, because it's such a welcome relief, when you're in pain and you're suffering. Now, one of the things that I did when I went into hospitals are such cold institutions, and I spent my life in one for over a year. So I had my husband bring in my paintings of angels. Right from the very first day, I took over, and I had them watching over me, little one by my bedside. Big ones hung over the sterile hospital pictures. I could just feel the warmth and the healing coming from them. They helped me to survive. The Reiki, which I love Reiki. Reiki is just pure, simple connection to spirit. And if you want to connect, consider Reiki, because it's so quick and easy, and it does it for you. It's like a gift. And that kept me going, because I couldn't read, I couldn't watch television, I couldn't actually do anything. All I had was pain. I could look at my angel pictures and Reiki myself, basically, and interact with the beautiful staff at the hospital. I used to Reiki the nurses, even though I was in such a terrible space, but it was wonderful to do that. And we had many wonderful experiences. That's the one good thing about Reiki. You don't have to be really well to use it, and when you're doing it, it makes you feel better as well. So it was a miraculous recovery. I was sent home to die. I looked like my great-grandmother when I looked in the mirror. I hope I look a bit better now. So being in the hospital, unable to do anything, I realised that the energy from the paintings was really healing. And I also realised that they tended to take away the fear of death, because they're very spiritual in nature, and they seem to actually connect to a really deep part of us that has forgotten who we really are. It's important to know that we're not just this human body, that we're actually spirits in a human form. And our journey is really to discover that through our life, because we forget when we're born. I think, we're probably, before we're born, we're up there making plans, deciding, who's going to do what to who our friends, our husbands, our enemies, our children will be. Big soul decisions. And then we come down here and we have free will, and we make, decisions, and we do the very best that we can. But I think in our life there are decisions which I would call soul decisions that we really can't change. And I believe that my illness was one of those. It was a decision I made to learn certain lessons, and it sounds very trite when you say it in words, but I feel it in my heart, was lessons of compassion and overcoming pain. Why I couldn't watch television in hospital, it was because it was too painful. When you're in a sensitive state, which most people who are very ill are in a very sensitive state, to see people hurting each other, to see the wars and the cruelty on the TV I couldn't bear it. To think that people would cause others pain purposefully was just incredibly horrible. And so I chose not to watch it because it had a very bad effect on me. So in essence, what I had in that time in hospital was like the Buddhist monks who go into the caves to meditate, and they have all outside influences taken away. Well, I didn't even eat for 4 months, I didn't even have that pleasure. So everything was sort of taken away, and I had to cope with it, and I had to find that strong spirit within myself. And I did. And I think most people who are put in that place do. People who have cancer, people who have terrible illnesses, you find that they've come to incredible realizations. They often feel that their illness is a gift, and whether they live or die, it was still a gift. Because in dying, you just leave the pain behind and you pass to another level. And it's not something, we lose them and we feel sad, but they've gone on. I just recently lost a beautiful friend she was in a wheelchair, and she'd had a lot of illness. And one of the main things that she hated about the wheelchair and the way she was, that she couldn't dance any longer. But now I know that she's dancing, and she's flying and dancing and having a wonderful time. I just look at death so differently. And with this experience, I can go now to people who are dying and not feel uncomfortable. Just sort of tune in, talk to them about anything. And it's the most wonderful gift to have that. Going back to the paintings, I felt that they could be of real use to people who were in a similar condition in hospitals, nursing homes, palliative care. Just having them hanging on the wall tends to remind people at a deeper level that they really are spirit, and it makes their journey, whatever it is, of living or dying or having pain or not, it makes it easier, because when you know that you're an immortal spirit, it does make a big difference. After I got well through a beautiful, miraculous surgery that just came out of the blue, I didn't expect to survive. I must tell you, my rehab. I think you can do anything if you really want to, but I was so thin and I couldn't really eat, and I was, I couldn't hardly walk or anything like that. And they wanted to put me in rehab, but the thought of going into hospital was like deathly. So we went to Queensland surfing. Bought a boogie board and a wetsuit, and went up to a beautiful place in Queensland, and we went body surfing every day and dancing every night, and I got back all my muscles and my joy of life. Back to the paintings. When I came out of the illness, I bought myself a great big printer. I could do the things I really wanted to do. I wasn't limited anymore. And I learnt to use it, and I now produce great big canvas paintings, and I stretch them myself. We do some framing myself. I love it. And And I've opened up this angel gallery here, Sanctuary. That was another journey through spirit told me to do this, and I did it. We decided we'd try and find out how the angel paintings work, if they really did have healing qualities. So I had a couple of people come in with a biofeedback machine. So they put the thing on a finger and they turned the machine on, and they were measuring the human energy field to see how energetic things were and how well she was. And it was going, really low, flatlining. And when we brought an angel painting into her vision, it would go wee, and it was just amazing, the difference. You take it away to go back, and we did my paintings of flowers with angels. They did the same things. We tried big paintings to see if they were more energetic than the little ones, and they were all basically energetic. Wasn't much different. But then we brought her a very small painting, and it went off the scale, and this was the painting that was meant for her. And this happens a lot. There's one particular artwork that is the energy vibration that someone needs for their healing, so she took that one away with her. But it was just incredible to see it. It's a bit like seeing the water crystals, you see it in a physical form, what we know in our hearts, that there's energy and healing there, and there's consciousness there, but to see it in a physical form is wonderful. Well, the paintings, I feel that they help people to remember that they are spirit. I had a wonderful experience with a nurse came and she bought my book, which has got the paintings and the sayings in it. She took it to a woman who was in an old person's home, and she was sort of very ill, soon to die, and very, very unhappy. And this nurse really loved her. She wanted to help her, and she gave her the book. She said from the time she looked at that book, she opened it up, her whole attitude changed. It was something took place deep inside her, some sort of understanding. And then the woman went on to buy about 5 or 6 books and give it to friends and family to help them. And so I feel that it's about awakening knowledge of spirit and remembrance. It's a very simple way of doing it. It's wordless, and that's what it's wordless, it's just energy, and it's a different way of healing. So most of my time now is spent in painting and at the Angel Gallery, not so much in hands-on healing or using flower essences. We do a lot of healing just through talking here. At the gallery, people come who are meant to be here, and it's sort of almost like spiritual counselling. And I can feel that the angels, that the angel paintings almost light up and the energy increases. And while they just sit here, the healing begins. It's quite incredible. And as people walk around and look at the various paintings, they often want me to help to choose one. And the way I can do this is that often the one that's meant for them seems to almost light up. It's quite amazing. And if you sit and look into a painting, particularly one that you're connected to, it changes and glows. It's quite amazing. I've done a couple of videos of some paintings, and they show this actually happening. It is quite extraordinary. And so angel paintings is a way of healing.